you ever just feel like playing an FPS game, or really any competitive game for that matter, these days feels like you have to look up like a 30-minute long YouTube guide on how to play it? Do you ever just feel like you can't casually play a competitive game for the fun of it anymore, and that your happiness and satisfaction comes from how well you did in that game, or how well your team performed? Do you ever choose not to play a game because there's people out there whose literal job is to play that game all day, every day on a stream, and they're finally bored of it and say that it's bad? Games these days sometimes to me, as I'm sure if you feel, also can feel like if you want to have fun, you need to be performing. You need to be doing well. You need to be playing the latest and greatest game, or you need to be playing the games that the streamers are playing and doing as well as them. You need to know the ins and the outs of the game to a T, and you need to impress your teammates. Sometimes it can feel like you need to take a 5-part college essay course in order to understand all the fundamentals, and common game sense that several other players have built up over several years. How can you catch up to all that? Especially if you have a full-time job or even a family, how do you even start to try to compete with those players who's been playing the game for year after year? Maybe you take the time to learn all these ins and outs up until the point where you feel like you have maybe an intermediate level of understanding of the game and how it's actually played. Will you even like it at that point? Or will you move on to something else? What doesn't feel like that long ago, but in reality is probably about over 10 years ago, I didn't really feel like that when I played games. Things were pretty simple to understand and easy to catch on, and it just depended on your individual skill. But let's say you learned your complex competitive game and you don't like it anymore. Well, if you move on to another game, the cycle kind of repeats. Especially if you're a new player, there's a whole new essay and subject matter to learn. And a lot of times it just feels like you don't have the time. If you're watching this and you have those feelings, I think they are 100% valid. I've been playing games for over 20 years, and it's not really up until lately I've been kind of feeling like this. There are several reasons why this Mount Everest sized level of knowledge needed to compete at a higher level in these games can sometimes feel like too much to take on, sometimes even to the point where you don't even want to try. So let's dive into some of the reasons why I feel that games these days, especially competitive FPS, feel too sweaty. And later in the video, I'll give you some advice on what you should do about it. So starting at number one, let's face it, Unc. The Xbox 360 days are over. If you've been around as long as I have, then you already know this, so I won't twist the knife too hard here. I agree in saying that the Halo 3 days, the Call of Duty World at War, the COD 4 days, the CS Source days were just factually a chiller, more exciting time for gaming, especially FPS. Each new COD felt like a massive event, and the same thing goes with Halo. New guns, maps, modes felt like something innovative and truly fresh because, in reality, it was. Gameplay was simple and basic for the most part, focusing more on mechanical skill and mastering the basics. But just like with anything new or basic, as humans, we have a desire to improve, progress, and to innovate. And I think that if you're getting stuck on how things used to be, how simpler things were, if you truly want to be competitive and progress these days, that simply isn't enough. You can't just play the game casually here and there and expect to have any major sense of progression. You can't buy the latest, greatest mouse, keyboard, or graphics card and have a major jump in skill or advantage. Why games are really sweaty these days is because games have just become incredibly more complex than what they used to be. Let's just look at a few, for example. Overwatch, Marvel Rivals, Valorant, Apex, League of Legends, Dota, Counter-Strike, Rainbow Six Siege. What are some things that all of these titles have in common? Well, number one, these are most, if not all, of the major competitive esports titles today. If you want to play a competitive game, whether it be an FPS or something like League or Dota or a hero shooter, these are your major mainstream games. And pretty much all of these games, other than Counter-Strike and maybe Call of Duty, if you want to throw that in there with some other CODs. Have several heroes or characters with abilities you have to learn. And all of these characters usually have a certain way they're expected to be played. So it's not like, oh, this character looks cool, I'll just play them because they look cool and seem interesting. Like, no, along with it, there comes a certain play style, a common tongue meta, if you will, that comes along with each character, a certain way your team expects you to play them. And if you don't, there will be someone on the mic calling you out in a usually pretty rude way, telling you how much of an idiot you are. And that meta, as a new player, is extremely frustrating. Not having that common knowledge really sets you back. It's either you need to play the game for several hours with that one specific character to understand to become like intermediate enough at them to be able to hold your ground and contribute to your team, or you need to look up a guide on YouTube. Really a combination of both. And in some of these games, becoming really good at one character can take months, a year even. Unless you're just quick to pick up things or have a ton of free time, this can be challenging if you also work and have like real world responsibilities. Live service games change and you got to keep up. This brings me to my next point. You got to keep up. Back in the old days, major updates to games usually meant a new map or a new DLC. But these days, it feels like every month some major meta is changing or a character is being taken out or added back in or tweaked in some way. Thus, every time something changes, there's a caucus of unemployed gamers out there that are min-maxing every single little thing they can in these games to come out on top. Anytime a new ability or a character comes out, there's a barrage of YouTube videos like the next day of someone going crazy or already mastering the mechanics. Which overall, there's nothing wrong with a YouTuber posting a video about some new updates or changes. That's not the problem here. The problem is that it can feel like if you're not chronically online and devoting all of your time to this game, then you can feel like you're getting left behind or losing your competitive edge. The game and the player base is basically evolving without you because it is. Like, how many times have you or one of your friends grinded a game for months, if not years, then taken an extended break and come back later? But this time when you come back, it just feels like you're gaps behind everyone who stayed. Like, for example, if I learn how to play golf or learn how to play basketball, I mean, for the most part, the rules don't change that much. You know, LeBron doesn't get an update or a new ability that allows him to fly around the court in the air or turn the court into a big AoE attack and lifesteal from other players. But to wrap up this point, games have progressed, and so has the players with it. If you truly want to compete at like higher levels or grind to higher ranks, you got to keep up, plain and simple. Another reason I think that games feel so sweaty these days is like there doesn't seem to be like any new competitive game that is innovative or really all that new. The only one I can think of really is like the finals, which is a game I think doesn't get enough credit or attention as it deserves. But I mean, let's think about it. We have Overwatch, a hero shooter that's been out for ages. We have Marvel Rivals, a hero shooter that hasn't been out super long, but we all know it will be around for years to come. But it's, basically kind of just Overwatch. We have Valorant, an FPS focused hero shooter. Apex Legends, a BR hero shooter. Siege, an FPS hero shooter. League of Legends, another hero based game. Like at this point, the whole hero shooter genre is just so stale to me. I get that people have their love for these games, and by no means am I trying to like discredit that. If you love Apex, that's fine. If you love Valorant, that's great. If you love Overwatch even, that's great, but a little questionable. What I'm trying to get at is it feels like several of these games, as a new or casual player, feel like walking into a party that's like 5 years late. Like these days, if you want to truly sink into a game and become good, you got to kind of pick your party to walk in late on. There's also the influence of Twitch streamers. So many people these days want to become a Twitch streamer, and I don't knock them for that. If you can get paid several millions of dollars to play a video game, Like that's honestly the dream. But as a result, everybody's trying to be extremely good at a game. Everybody's trying to be the greatest. Not everybody, but I'm sure as a result, there's a ton of people cheating. There's going to be people that want to take the shortcut, the short way to become famous. So I think Twitch streamers and just the popularity of all that has really contributed to many games just feeling a lot more competitive. Everybody's trying their absolute hardest. So, that's one side of it. That's why I think a lot of times games feel sweaty. But enough like old man shouting at the clouds. What can you do about this? If you have a desire to be competitive, which game do you choose? And what do you do when the game just feels too sweaty? I think plain and simple, if you want to seriously progress and master one game, you need to play only that game. Especially if you have limited time in the day, stick with that one game. If you have a desire to become better at a game that you feel is too sweaty, this might seem obvious, but don't quit. Games have gotten so complex to a point where, again, especially if you have limited time, I don't think you can afford to really swap games too often if your goal is to climb ranks. It will be rough, you will need to look up guides and learn about the mechanics and inner workings of the game. However, a major mistake I see many people make is they just quit too early. It's okay to play Rainbow Six and go negative, and it's okay to go negative again and again and again. It's okay to not know every hero and their abilities and the best time to use those abilities, even though it seems like everybody else does. I can tell you for a fact that they don't. It's okay to make mistakes and to learn. I feel that there's a stigma out there where if you're not the star player, or if you're not at the top, or if you're not getting Twitch clips and uploading them to TikTok or whatever, then you're unnoticed, and that's a bad thing. Like you're just another player in the lobby, like a bot that's going to get baited for their better teammates. And, if you're not performing like your favorite Twitch streamer is, that's okay. All of this stuff is a lie. Many of you forget like the real reason you're even playing is just to have fun. Now, don't get me wrong, being competitive and playing to win is fun. Winning is a great thing, but we got to get rid of that mental mode of if I'm not winning, I'm not having fun. Take joy and pride in doing the small things in your match. You don't have to be playing at 100% every second of the round if you're just learning a game. Another tip I would give, even though it may feel like counterintuitive, is to try to only play ranked play in your game of choice. There is an anxiety and a fear that comes along hopping into ranked for the first time. Get over that. Dive in. Tell yourself, you know what? If I go negative and perform badly this game, that is okay. I'm here to learn. There's no risks. There's no money at stake. And ignore the people on the mic who don't have at least some sort of constructive criticism to give you. And let me tell you, there's a dime a dozen. Almost every single match I play, there's a whiny person telling you that you suck. And apparently, they're the best and know how to do everything. In my mind, if you don't even progress that much, as long as you don't become that guy, I think you've won. Because guess what? Even at like the higher ranks, nobody wants to play with that guy anyway. I would much rather have a teammate that is a beginner who maybe example is great on comms or communication. Someone who's always calling out the enemy and what they're doing or where they think they are, rather than saying something's like dumb, like you're bad or you suck or whatever. Another tip is to set goals for yourself. It's not as easy these days compared to the old days to just play the game and you'll get better. You need to have a goal in mind. Use ChatGPT to, if you need to, create a goal for yourself and create your own little to-do list. If you're playing Siege, write down like, okay, I'm playing Hard Breach. My goal is to get the wall open every round. Or my goal is to coordinate with this random teammate like Twitch to help me get the wall open. In a lot of these games, you're walking into a massive, massive ecosystem of strategy. If there's one strat you think hasn't been done, it's probably been done. Focus on the fundamentals. Get the foundation solid at first, and everything else will follow. If you don't get that foundation solid first, if you don't understand the overall idea of what the game is about, then there's not really a point in learning all these different abilities. Understand the basic roles first. Like, what does a tank do? What's their role? What's DPS's role? Because I'm going to tell you right now, there's a ton of people that play these games that have been playing them for years and evidently just don't understand even that basic of knowledge. Realize that winning and losing a game is guaranteed. You will lose, and that's okay. Make it a goal to say, like, you know what? I did bad that game and we lost, but I learned XYZ. Like, I learned a new angle I could get killed from in Siege, or I learned a new combo of abilities to counter an enemy hero. Like, that's a win. That's a win. You didn't win the match, but that's a win. You got to count your blessings when it comes to progressing and being competitive. The thing about progressing and being competitive is it's not all about the marshmallows and these lucky charms, You're going to have to eat some real nutrients and lose some in order to progress and to learn. Just like building muscle, you got to break it down first to grow it stronger. And, like without the lows, there can be no highs. Losing and getting frustrated you're not doing good is part of the process. It's part of the game and it's natural. Now, don't get me wrong, there are glitches in games and there are unfair advantages and there are balancing issues. That's a little bit different. But just try not to get so tilted about it to the point where you don't even want to play. Stay calm, stay analytical about your round, stay analytical about your gameplay. Look at it from like an outside perspective rather than like a reactive one and just going through the motions of the round. If I do good, I do good. If I don't do good, I just must suck, which is not the case. Communicate with your team. Several of these games are team focused and require teamwork to play and win. And more often than not, probably the reason why you're losing is lack of teamwork, especially if you're solo queuing and stuff like that. So communicate with your team. Just say something, like it's crazy the amount of times that the only comms I hear in a ranked game is how bad someone else is doing on the team. Or it's like some insult or something like that. Like if someone's just being toxic and messing with your mental like that, just mute them. And some people will say like, oh, like why are you muting your teammate? You say work with your team and now you're muting your teammate. But like if they're not calling out, if they're not giving any kind of instructive information, helpful information to the game, what's the point of listening to them? Another tip is to focus more on just playing the game rather than looking up guides and how to play the game. Just play it. I feel like I myself and many of you might have gotten into a trap where you're reading and watching guides more than you're actually playing the game. In my opinion, time played in the game will almost always trump general knowledge in my experience, because the more you play, the more you know. You got to stop looking up videos on why you're bad or trying to always cope with your gameplay and trying to always know the latest and greatest meta. Play the game, have fun, enjoy the small things, and just try not to take things so seriously. You'll have way more fun and won't be so tilted to the point where you can't learn productively. Games these days are sweaty, and the reason for that is because that's just what they are. They are sweaty games now. So on the flip side, if you just want to play for like a few hours a day casually and you're not looking to climb ranks and see how far you can go, then my advice to you would be just to accept the fact that it's okay that there are people better than you. Games these days, like especially competitive ones, do require more time and experience than it once did. Now, obviously, there are games out there that are not like this. Like, you got your battlefields and your more military shooters and your Arma and your Hell Let Loose and stuff like that, which are totally fun games and I play them all the time. However, if you only have a couple hours to play and you want to play a competitive game, I think you can still have fun. You just got to get rid of that mental state of like, you don't have to know the whole game and how it works and how each character works. You don't have to be the best. You just got to be there, and that's enough. I would encourage you just get rid of that mindset of games are just too sweaty these days. It's not worth it. Even though the major competitive games out right now have been out for several years, doesn't mean at all that it's too late for you to hop in and learn the game and improve and have fun. Some toxic players and some toxic experiences may make you feel like that, but just go back to my tips, do those little things that'll help you improve and reset your mental. focus on the big picture as to why you're even playing the game in the first place and realize that you're going to lose and that's okay. So I don't know, just a little rant. I just wanted to talk about it. Hope you find it helpful. If you did, drop me a like, comment what you think, and let's have some good games out there. Let's start putting GG in the chat again. You know what I'm saying? Let's go chat. What do you think, chat? But that's all. I'll see you.